Namaste. So wonderful to have this opportunity to talk with you. We're trying a new format here, but hopefully the message comes through, even though the medium might be a little. So initially, we want to consider what our situation actually is, so that we are motivated to practice. The fortunate thing about being reborn in a human form is that you have the capacity to learn and to not be fully conditioned by your biological programming. I know that's kind of hard to tell. It would have been hard to tell me when I was a teenager, but we actually can get beyond our biological programming in a more easy way than the animals can. Animals are born, and then they have all of their survival capacities ready to go. You know, they're in just a few hours, the calf is standing and suckling and walking around, and that's what they're going to be doing almost the rest of their life. You know, all of the survival things are built in with the animals, but the humans, we have a long development. We depend upon the compassionate care and loving kindness of our mother, or the mothering adult who takes care of us and saves our lives repeatedly. So we can say that we are in a very fortunate position right now. Being an animal rebirth, you have to be either killing other beings to eat or looking out and trying to avoid being killed yourself to become someone else's meal. So that doesn't give one the freedom, the spaciousness, the leisure of mind to consider these larger issues. So we have something absolutely amazing, actually, not only being reborn as a human, but being reborn as a human where the Dharma is flourishing, where the Dharma is actually coming. There's this famous prophecy attributed to Padmasambhava: when the iron bird flies and the horse runs on rails, the Tibetan people will be scattered throughout the earth like a hive of disrupted ants, and then the Dharma will come to the land of the red-faced man. So the Dharma is coming west, and we are the blessed recipients of it. We can apply it. This is something we can put into practice in our lives, and then things improve. Things get easier and smoother in the relations, in the mind, because we're practicing, because you get a little handle on your mind through your meditation. So this is the blessings. This is like our opportunity and our freedom, a genuine expression of our freedom that we have now. You know, there's like a kind of the sold version of freedom, like the media wants to sell you what they think your idea of freedom should look like. You know, we want to get loaded, we want to have a good time, but actually, freedom means like you have options. You know, not that you can't decide among the options, too confusing. It's like you have options and you know the way to go, so things just go smoother. Things just go more easily. This is the blessings and the fortune that we have as being reborn as a human. Then we have to recognize that it's a bit of a... then we have to recognize that this is impermanent, subject to change, and definitely when it changes, that is to say, when the karma for this precious human rebirth has been expended, then you have to go on. You have to go elsewhere. And the rebirth that happens in these other potential realms and other potential times and places is not going to be as well endowed. The really the large view of samsara is terrifying. That the condition of the animals, being in servitude or being preyed upon or having to be a predator, making that karma, or being a parasite, is the worst, is not the worst. We think that's the worst. It's not the worst. There's also realms, dimensions, that unfortunately we can't see. We're very skeptical about in our Western mind. But there are, tigers in the forest. We can't see them. That doesn't mean that they're not there. And that there are other realms, there are other dimensions, other beings in these other dimensions. It's not just something we have to take on faith. We have an understanding of our own mind and how thoughts of aggression, thoughts of hoarding, these types of states of mind that just overpower us at different times, when they have played themselves out entirely, then you can see, you get a feeling of this whole other dimension, this whole other realms that are possible, where the baseline tone are those states of mind. The baseline tone in the human state, human realm, is this kind of ambivalence, hesitation, and also a bit of this like accumulating acquisitiveness. The whole realm, all the different 6 realms, are all in the desire realm. But the higher realms above the human realm, we can relate to. We have pride and jealousy. And when we're operating out of those, there's this feeling of superiority. And then also competition. That becomes like the pervasive tone in the mind. This leads to other realms. These are other dimensions of existence which are built upon these mind states. Because everything is mind-made. Your whole experience, the projections that you take for being real and react to, is the sum total of the world. And that's one of the marvelous things about the psychedelic movement. You can see very quickly that if you change your brain chemistry, your experience changes. Not just in a specific way, but that's the take-home message. They say drugs aren't the way. They might be along the way. But the take-home message is that mind makes your world, thought by thought. And meditation is a way of working more and more deeply with what you construct your world out of. Hence, it gets better. And not only does it get better, but you can wake up entirely. You can go beyond the cycles of suffering and really experience who you are on the primordial level. when you're working in that level, you can benefit beings spontaneously. This is a karma-free Buddha activity. In the meantime, we got to work very, very carefully with karma so that our actions are at least harmless and, whenever possible, beneficial. Karma works flawlessly, automatically. There's not a deity doling out awards and punishments. It's like a grand oneness, all the interconnectedness, interdependence. So, what you do to others, you're actually doing to yourself. Because self and other is an illusion that we're working through. But in the meantime, the karmic productions need to be attended to very, very carefully, very, very closely. And it's not too difficult. There's some basic guidelines. We're not killing. All the beings want to maintain their existence and want to have their lives continue. And then, so the opposite is to save life, to help beings preserve their lives and continue them. Then also we're not stealing, not taking what's not given, but being generous, making offerings wherever we can to those who are in need. And we have extra, we can offer at that point in a very specifically what's needed kind of way. Then also there's the offering of fearlessness. If someone's quite afraid about the monsters in the closet, you can look, oh, there's no monsters in the closet, and you offer fearlessness. And then the most supreme generosity you can offer is the gift of Dharma. When someone's open, someone has a genuine receptivity to that, then you can offer that. It's the very best. The gift that keeps on giving. Then we're also not engaging in harsh speech, speech that hurts others, or lying, deceptive speech, or divisive speech. You talk bad about someone behind their back. There's ways of hurting people, but instead we want to speak truthfully. We want to speak genuinely. And we want to help sometimes people patch things up. We want to have reconciliatory speech. I don't know if that's a word. But we want to help reconciliation using the speech. And then regarding sexual conduct, we want to have no injury, no abuse in the sexuality. And then, like with monastic, then it's celibate. With the lay practitioners, there's the morals, sexual morals that go along with relationship and the potential for partnership. And then this respect of the bounds of monogamy just makes the community more relaxed. It makes the continuity of family easy. So then intoxication is very interesting. The samaya, like for monks, is like no intoxicants. The samaya for the lay holders is not to become intoxicated. So the substances which affect your mind, you have to be very careful with. Because you engage with these substances, and then it should be done in the context of the ritual, the sacred use of these. Not for intoxication, not for escapist purposes. That is the the way to have the karma become more settled, more easygoing. Because samsara goes on and on and on. Things go in cycles. Mother Nature recycles everything. Consciousness is no exception. The mind stream doesn't have an onset, so beginningless samsara rebirths have occurred, and we're right in the middle of a very nice one right now, but when it finishes, again, our karma throws us into the next situation. And after this absolute, almost pure land abundance and opportunity that we have, it might not be as good. In fact, the odds of it being this good again are rather slim. We need to grab a hold of this golden opportunity and make the most of it, definitely. And we can do that by engaging in the bodhisattva activity, by being generous wherever possible, by being upstanding in our moral guidance, using our conscience and allowing our conscience to guide our actions and choices. And also, whenever possible, to exercise patience, to use disruptions and provocations, things that would usually make us angry, use those precious opportunities to really see how quickly mind reacts and to begin to go deeper into the roots of that reactivity, to route it out. So we say forbearance, that we're in samsara, stuff's going to happen. Your own karma is going to come back to you through the vehicle of others, and our karma hasn't been entirely perfect so far. So obviously, the karma that's returned is the karma that we're burning, but the karma that we're making is the future that we're taking. So we need to have a forbearance and a readiness to practice patience in the arisal of provocative phenomena. Okay. That's going to take some diligence. We're not saying it's going to happen overnight. You approximate it, I got a little pissy there. I really got worked up. But then next time I was only boiling for 10 minutes. I wasn't half an hour. Next time I'm only boiling for 5 minutes. And then shorter and shorter and shorter. But to work that, you need to put in the effort. There needs to be this consistency. And this happens when you have the results. You get some sort of faith that, not in the sense of a leap of faith or a blind faith, but a confidence. I've applied these methods. I can see that my mind is improving. It's like, I'm a shabby excuse for a Dharma practitioner. I'll grant you that, but you should have seen me before. It would have been even worse, absolutely even worse. So you glance back and see where you've been, and you take heart and you go forward and say that this is a brand new day. I'm going to be able to practice again. And then you apply it, and you apply it thoroughly. We have these brilliant teachings, and Buddha didn't say, if you just have faith in me, if you just follow me, it's going to be instantly done for you. No, he said, I've given you the path, and now it's up to you to apply it. You walk it and work the way that you can to the ability that you have. Don't burn out on it, but you work within your capacity. And then day by day you see the progress. Then there's this perfect way of progressing where you're stilling the mind. You're able to see the quiescent nature of the mind. Mind is thinking, mind is judging, anticipating, planning, infinitely leaping from the present. But then when we settle into the present moment deeply, we can discover this other aspect of mind, which is perfectly still. In that stillness of mind, you look at the total situation, and then your wisdom is penetrating. The wisdom which sees the actual state of things goes beyond concept, goes beyond our ordinary this and that logic. This encompassing wisdom ultimately guides all of our other bodhisattva activity. So when we're generous, it's not that I am being generous through this action to you. All of these three spheres, the one who acts, the one that's the action that's given, the one who is the recipient, are equally devoid of existence. Let's say it's lacking any reality in the ultimate sense. It goes beyond concept, which is shunyata, the way things arise interdependently based upon their lack of existence. When this becomes not just an intellectual understanding but an ongoing experience, the wisdom will guide all the other paramitas. Wisdom, prajna paramita, is the space in which all of the other paramitas are brought to perfection. So it is up to us to investigate the actual situation and see that there is suffering. Suffering begins in the mind of each individual. That's why there's suffering in the world, because each world system is the sum total of the beings' minds. If the beings' minds are enlightened, that world system is a pure land. If the beings' minds are confused and making negative karma, that's a realm of rebirth in samsara. As a thing is viewed, so it appears. So there is this potential for suffering. We need to get underneath it and see what is causing it. Turns out it's rather simple. It's this grabbing hold of me, myself, and I. The reference to oneself as a independent, permanent entity, which is, it turns out, a mistaken perception. Karma taken out of a mistaken perception is going to be befuddled, is going to make more negative karma that returns, is reacted to, and on it goes in this vicious cycle. But it is possible to recognize this through the blessings of the lineage, through the blessings of the teacher. We can very intimately work with our own grasping to self. This is why we need a teacher, because if we're just, I'm going to practice on my own, then it's a potential for the ego to get a hold of it. It's hard. I mean, if you're practicing basic teachings, usually you're going to be checking yourself. But the real deep kind of cut where you're able to just genuinely see how that me, myself, and I works to spoil everything and go in one fell swoop beyond it into this open dimension where freedom is the pervasive experience, then it takes that relationship with the master, with the teacher. But if there's that recognition and a way of working that goes past me, myself, and I, then it's possible to cease the cause of the suffering. The mistaken perception is replaced by seeing, by actually being with what is. And we're approximating that, we're getting accustomed to that through integrating with the path. The ground, the potential is always there for liberation. It's within each and every mind stream. It's the basis of every being. Your Buddha nature is always there within you, as it is within each and every being. The way to actualize it, the way to get more accustomed to coming from that space, is the Noble Eightfold Path, which is the right view, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right contemplation, right concentration. I might have switched those around. So that's the project. A little wonky. When we're talking about the Dharma, we're talking about what is true. Truth, in this sense, is something that we can all experience, that we can all agree on. There's a relative truth, which we all experience a bit like consensus. We all consensus to say, automobile, and then we all know what that means. But that's because we have all this cultural context. Truth in the Dharmic sense goes beyond that and is genuinely what satisfies. They say the Dharma in the sense of teachings or a path which tends to move one towards greater state of freedom is good in the beginning, it's good in the middle, and it's good at the end. In any case, it always works to settle your mind, to move your mind into more compassionate, responsive states, and to help your philosophical orientation accord more and more with what actually is. There's this whole emphasis on the philosophical view, and there's a recognition that we have a worldview. Conscious or unconsciously, we're manufacturing our experience by way of our worldview. The ordinary worldview of worldlings is that they don't need a particular philosophical orientation. Things are real and concrete, and there's a real and concrete ego entity over here that has to deal with them. Of course, each and every tribe and culture, village, has its oral history throughout human experience. There's never been a tribe or culture that didn't have myths and legends that would help one connect with the inconceivable aspects of our experience. These stories that we would tell and retell, they take on a momentum, they take on a life of their own, and they help to structure the psyche in its relations. And they're vast, and they become part of our culture. The my culture, myself contemplation is a way of examining these influences that we have and how they merge into our societal context, the larger society in which we choose to live. Because humans are social animals, we are social creatures. So we're recommending that you relax in a happy state of mind, a oneness and an openness state of mind, which is very contented. And then it settles. Your mind settles and becomes more and more peaceful. Every day is a new day. Today is a new day. There's a whole new vista opening up to one in which so many marvelous new things can be experienced. All of these experiences arise continually, uninterruptedly, like the flow of a great wide river. Our philosophical orientation, and now the illusory glasses trick. Now I see you. Now I see you more clearly. This is called impermanence. Even the sense of vision is impermanent. There's an idea that the time of life that I'm approaching, that is to say, post age 50, we're looking outside less, seeking outside less, and looking inside more. The necessity for eyeglasses is a constant reminder that the time has come to not abide so much in the outward searching and seeking, but the inner seeing. Not an outward looking, but an inward seeing. Just like that. And here's a little poetry. From that naturally luminous ground spring the 5 dancing elemental goddesses. In their sensual play they display an ever-changing array, a thunderous display that delights the lords of the 5 families. The 5 primordial wisdom lords offer themselves in love to the 5 dancing goddesses, who are naturally delighted to again recognize the union. Today, just play in this openness display. Everything that seemingly arises does so in the spaciousness of your natural awareness. The solvent for the colors you would paint your world with have evaporated into Buddha's sky-like mind. These coughed up cloud projections are of a necessity returning to space. Returning to space. So here's a little note to myself. Pack it up, Mr. Mose. It's time you goes. Do the crows knows that prayers are shared with the wind blows? No, they just go ahead and fly and land on the prayer flags. More illusory than illusion itself, the seeming continuity of a myself. quote-unquote, a myself. More illusory than illusory itself is the seeming continuity of a myself. I-formed forms storm one's sensibilities. The continual onslaught of I-formed forms storm one's senses, one's sensibilities, pulling me into feeling, mostly feeling trapped by my feelings. With the threat of the hunter, a deer will prick up its ears. Your royal throne was stolen to try to prop up ego's prop department. Yet by way of the Guru's loving kindness, in this very instant of awareness, you naturally regain your noble seat. Where you sit is the Vajra seat. Before nothing arises, your self-arisen, peaceful wisdom sets all the worlds aright and on the path of light. Wise compassion and compassionate wisdom bless us on and on and on, in body after body, till even the most intensely dense ignorance, namely me, namely myself, namely I, just have to let go and fly at home in the as it is sky. Open out freely. Be yourself here and now. Open out freely. Wow. What you've been seeking is always within, beyond the designation of an outside or an inside. With the truth, let your mind collide. Glide past illusion, glide past confusion. Open out, let go freely into your spaciousness. Your own awareness is delicious. It's of the one taste. Slow it down. Be in the present. Enjoy the moments unfolding. In your sky-like mind, there's no one to let go. Just the openness, just a spaciousness, and an awareness which goes beyond characteristics. Our emotionality tries to wash over logic. Our logic tries to squash the emotions. Oh, what a ridiculous relationship. Rather, the dance goes on and on and on. The loving embrace of awareness and space, merging into a non-dual, ever-opening display, is beyond reason, is beyond direction, is always simple. and available. Beyond hope and fear, the truth of your Buddha nature is always so near, so very close. When we try to look for it further along, we involve ourselves with all sorts of karmic action. Rather, in the contentment of the present moment, you might discover yourself to be completely satisfied. There's complete satisfactoriness in going beyond the grasper and what is grasped. How delightful. No more projects, no big important undertaking to do. Like a simple me, myself, and I illusion could try to do enlightenment. Genuinely, there's something very present about your mind which doesn't need improving. Something very, very intimate about your experience, which is in no way diminished. So there is something very intimate about your presence, which is in no way diminished by all of the machinations of me, myself, and I, or the karmic vision, which we usually take as being real, thought by thought. Our projections, our karmic vision, we overlay upon our experience and take that for being real. That's a mistake. That's a mistaken identity. That's a non-existent entity. So obviously, ultimately, it's going to be unsatisfactory. But there is a beginningless, endless presence that is in no way diminished by these adventitious overlays. And when they're cleared away, you can see that very concretely. You can experience that as something very concrete. And then that becomes a basis not only for one's meditation, where you recognize it and you get more familiarity with that, but also how you go about your day, how about every single action is entered into consciously that way. Whatever arises, intrinsic awareness. Because logically, we can see that for something to arise, it does so dependent on its lack of inherent existence. That is to say, it arises because of its interdependence, all of its causes and conditions. For anything to arise, it has to do so by way of its lack of true existence. Because if something existed in this grand, independent, permanent, unchanging way, it would always have been there. It can't arise later. Likewise, it couldn't interact with any other completely self-existing, permanent thing, and then it would never go anywhere. So things the way we imagine them, the way we, on the relative level, overlay them, that is, with thingness, with existence and permanence, that is our mistake. And the actions that we take out of that, the type of world we create out of that thinking, is going to be one of confusion. Even that confusion lacks any inherent existence. Ah, what a relief. What a relief. Light on leaf. Light on leaf, take away my grief. Light on leaf, take away all grief. Light on leaf, take away my belief. Ah, what a relief. What a blessed, delightful relief. And we want to dedicate whatever merit has been generated by this communication and by your very courteous and intent contemplation upon this, to the benefit of all Mother Sentient beings. May they all actualize their naturally present Buddha nature and go way, way, way beyond suffering into ever-increasing states of joy, love, compassion, and equanimity. Om Dare Dare Ban Dare Swaha Jaya Jaya Siddhi Siddhi Bala Bala Shasama Mama Kuling Samenta